Good morning and welcome to my presentation on an urban field study for teaching CSPE, Law and Justice to second year students. My name is Miss Goligly and I will explain how this field trip fits into the curriculum and how it can aid the way in which our students learn and understand the law and justice system. The learning intentions for today are to recognise the value of organising a field trip in your local area, to be able to develop an understanding how this will aid what the students have learnt within the classroom. Identify the links between this field study and the CSP curriculum. Apply key skills, rationale and cross-curricular links to this field study. You will be able to understand why taking students on a field trip has great relevance to the topics set out in the curriculum. CSP is a very active subject, therefore it is important to be active through the methods in which we choose to teach our students. The rationale for taking students on an urban field trip are listed on this slide. Field trips are a way of contextualising the learning in a real environment. The main aims for this environment is to be local, familiar and relevant. Taking the students on a trip that they understand the purpose of and allows them to have an active learning experience. Students should be able to draw connections between the classroom and the outside world. The students will be able to see the relevance of what they are learning within the classroom and see how it is practiced within real life, for example, a court case. This will provide students with a real feel for the subject area. During the trip, we plan to visit 3 sites: Dundalk Garda Station, Tiernan and Co Solicitors, and the courthouse. Dundalk Garda Station is where the students will listen to a talk and go on a tour around the grounds. At the solicitors, the students will listen to a solicitor talk about how they conduct their job and what their role entails. Students will be given time to ask questions and get answers. The courthouse. During their time in the courthouse, the students will get a tour and they will also listen to a mock case. This will provide students with the opportunity to see what happens inside a courtroom and what role each individual plays. Over the course of the field trip, the students can be made aware that they will be using their key skills. The 2 that I have chosen that this particular field trip will demonstrate are communicating and managing information and thinking. The key skill of communicating can be incorporated as the students will develop their communication skills through asking questions that they have prepared in each place that they will visit. Managing information and thinking. This key skill can be incorporated as the student will learn a lot of information throughout the trip. They will need to manage this information to use it within the classroom. This map lays out the walking tour that the students will take. They will be advised to ensure that they prepare and wear appropriate clothing as we will be walking to each of the locations. Therefore, we will not have to factor any costs for the field trip as there is no transport needed. This may be a challenge for teachers when organising trips, as their schools may be outside the town. However, the possible challenges that may occur on this tour is that it is a walking tour. Therefore, we will need to be aware of road safety and the weather conditions on this particular day. The class will be split into pairs prior to the trip. Each pair will be given a map that they will use to direct themselves to each location that we will be visiting. The independent study will be promoted during this task as the students will be using the maps to gain access to each location on the tour. Again, this map shows the short distance that the students will have to walk to get to the 3rd location. Cross-curricular links will be geography through the use of their maps. Numeracy can also be linked, as the students will be timing how long it took to get from each location. Other cross-curricular links can be made during this field trip. History. The Garda station will discuss the history and also the history of the courthouse as well on our third stop. Students will be using the skills to retain facts and dates that they are presented with on this day. Art. Art can be incorporated, as they will be looking at the buildings and how the buildings were designed and why the design of a building is relevant to the stance that each building takes. They will be also asked to use their drawing skills throughout a worksheet that they will be provided with. Geography is incorporated through the use of maps, and this was discussed during the previous slide. This is an example of a worksheet that will be provided to the students at the beginning of the tour. This is a sample worksheet broken into the 3 stops. Each task will be simple and they will complete it on the go. For example, the first task is to draw a picture of what a holding cell looks like. Active teaching methods can be incorporated, as one of the students will be asked to measure the holding cell to which they were shown. Also, they will be asked to label a diagram within the courtroom. Each task is different, however, they are easy to complete. The worksheet has also been differentiated, as there are extra activities for students that need more of a challenge. Students will be working in pairs throughout this worksheet also. The information that the students gathered during this trip will be discussed in the next lesson, that they will prepare a written assessment on the details of their trip. They will incorporate the use of literacy skills, as students will manage information that they have been provided with during the trip in order to communicate it in a written format. Having a look at the learning intentions set out at the beginning of this PowerPoint, you should now be able to recognise the value of organising a field trip in your local area, identify the links between the field study and the CSPE curriculum, apply key skills, rationale and cross-curricular links to this field study. Also show how students can incorporate key skills and can be reminded of these throughout the trip. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm hoping that this presentation gave you an insight into how an urban field study can aid the learning that goes on inside the classroom, and also help students draw links to the outside world. Thank you very much.